Welcome to the Potion Podcast, your raw look at the hospitality industry, brought to you by SHC. What's happening, everybody? Something very different today. I got reached out by a entrepreneur in Chicago, and he wanted some advice. So I thought, and we both talked about it. I was like, "Would you be up for a live chat?" And so we're going to live chat, and I'm going to try and bring them into now. Skeptic's here. So Jimmy's here. I'm just trying to bring him into... There we go. There we go. So this is something completely different for me. I've never done it. I may start doing it more often. So Jimmy's going to give us a 411 on
How's it going?
In Chicago. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you? Brittany, our marketing head, is with me as well. So, yeah, we're eager to speak to you and ask you some questions that might be able to help us out. How are you today?
Good. First thing in the morning, getting my started, things to do. So,
Yeah.
give me 2 seconds. There we go. So this is the very first time I've ever done this as well.
Okay,
So
awesome.
I've never done like...
Too familiar with it. Do you
Instagram
want to take a look at the distillery first?
So
do you want to take a look at our distillery first? Yes, I can.
Let's do it.
Yeah, all right. Let's give you a little tour. So we are doing a full remodel, and so this is all construction here. As you can see, we are building out a tasting room in this location. So everything is kind of gutted. The ceiling's being painted, and walls have been stripped. And yeah, I'll take you into where the magic happens. There might be a couple people in here, but that's all right. So here is our distillery and storage area. So all of our gin, we're running very low on gin Kila over here, our vodka, and our homemade still.
Wow.
Got one here that operates on a vacuum with our carbon filters, barrel accelerators here, more barrels, and all of that storage out there was converted into hand sanitizer. So that's basically the little distillery we've put together with the space that we have.
How much can you make on that little tiny vacuum still a day?
So quite a bit, actually. So we can do 60 gallons an hour at 190 proof. It's pretty rapid. We don't operate at that speed because, it is handmade. It's not automated, so it's got to require a lot of monitoring and balancing out with the level of vacuum applied versus how much output we're getting with it.
Yeah,
it's a touchy process. So,
like
realistically, we can do about a pallet or two a day.
We've got one vacuum still distillery here in BC. A distillery here too. Same sort of process that you guys are doing with your gin. Like it just changes the way that the gin comes out.
Yeah, ours is carrying through a lot of flavors, so we're having a lot of luck with it. It's very juicy gin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to hop into some questions for you, if that's all right, and then I'd like to have Brittany hop on, if that's okay with you.
Yep.
Awesome. So just, being in the hospitality world that you are, what do you see craft distilleries doing right in terms of acquiring cocktail placements, new back bar placements without, overstepping? Because we don't want to ask too much of people that are already in a tough spot, being, the situation that we're in right now. That's something that I've been curious about.
What sort of sales mix do you have with on-premise and retail? Like, is it mainly retail with you pushing?
We're mainly retail. So I'd say probably 75% at least of our sales are retail sales. So it's kind of breaking into that on-premise and at a time right now, it's a touchy thing to do. You can't ask for too much of a commitment, and it's a tough area to gain traction in right now.
I think for your brands, for retail, not for retail, but OP, you've got to lean into that vacuum distillation process. You don't have a lot of vacuum distilled products in the US. And really what you got to do is always take it back to zero and re-educate absolutely everybody exactly what vacuum distillation is you can never expect anybody to know the process. I find a lot of the stories that I work with in BC, we constantly sort of build out their story and then always back to zero every like quarter. Every quarter, you take your story back to zero and you start again. Because in that, you've got new followers on social media, you've got new listings, but you want to tap into a brand new market. So you literally have to take your story back to zero. The gin keeler, I did some research on that this morning. My first sort of response for that was like, oh, it's one of those hybrid spirits, like a gin blended with tequila. I did the research and I'm like, oh no, wait a second, it's gin aged in tequila barrels, which is really fucking cool. So again, I would sort of, it's about that education, because there's been a lot of like cognac vodkas and tequila mezcals and tequila vodkas and stuff come on the market. And while retail will like snap up that sort of like stuff, OP will be a little bit more, ooh, what's that sort of deal? That's the sort of thing I got on premise, is like, it would be a hard explanation in a busy bar. You know, I think gin aged in a tequila barrel is absolutely spectacular. I'd really like to taste that, but I feel like OP may see it as one of those hybridized spirits.
The gin keela, I've really been trying to focus on the versatility of the product, where I can pitch the whole, you can throw this in an agave cocktail and you can throw this in a gin cocktail, so that they're not too concerned about the seasonality of either.
And that's the thing too, is that you've got, I think on the East Coast, you got to have as much of a prevalence of barrel aged gins. Here on the West Coast, it did 25 barrel aged in my province, which is insane. 25 barrel aged.
It's pretty hefty. we were seeing a lot of bourbon barrels, but nothing with tequila just yet. And the gin base, as you saw, is kind of constructed to complement that, which is also a plus for us. But it's definitely a whole extra level of consumer education. And so you got to start from square one again.
And that's just a big thing. Like, I looked over your social media. I think that you've sort of built a base, and you're sort of leveraging your base right now. Where if you want to break into a new base, you have to take it back down the bottom. Like, see a lot of pictures. Like, you're still's not pretty. Like, it's not, it's not pretty still.
No. I mean, we're in a functional space, to say the least.
But I think if you post that on social media and you use that, showing people what vacuum distillation is and what it looks like, would resonate with geeky bartenders at your cocktail bars and your nightclub stuff, more than sort of how to like socializing with your friends and stuff like that. So I think both, like, it's just about consumer education, and the hard thing
process more so than the consumption.
I think the thing is that your consumers set the tone, and the way I sort of look at it is like cocktail bartenders and people in the mid to high range, like OP accounts, really think that they sort of rule the world, but they're only like a 10% slice of the macro. Like go to
of course.
Chicago's got a great cocktail scene. Go to a regular liquor, go to the best liquor store in Chicago. You're still going to see people walking out the door with freaking Coke, not Kokanee, that's a Canadian brand, but like your average like lagers and a Mickey, and it's very humbling for like, I've worked 22 years to create a cocktail scene, and then I go sit at a local liquor store and I'm like, oh, nothing I've done for 10 years matters. But
they're just still going for the value no matter what.
But the consumers also set the tone. So especially if you're OP accounts, my angle of sort of wrote down some notes was, make it so approachable and applicable to the consumer with cocktails and collaborations with influencer bartending. I think influencer marketing is actually really good. so that the consumers going into venues and going to liquor stores asking for your product.
Hmm.
So it's sort of, instead of sort of back in the day, especially now with COVID, back in the day, you'd put a bottle on the back bar of the best cocktail bar, and all of a sudden it would trickle down to retail.
Hmm.
I now and go leverage retail, so and just do so much for the consumer facing side of things, the general consumer, that they're going to bars and they're going to other liquor stores looking for your product.
Hmm.
So cocktails, batch cocktails, punch bowls, stuff like, you've got this sort of super fun socializing with friends, which is really difficult now too, but like
Of course,
social
yeah. Engaging with the bartenders is also difficult. So I like the idea of that strategy, because I mean at this current time, I mean the most that I've been able to do is schedule a cocktail contest via Zoom and things of that nature. So it's just not as engaging for them.
you go the other way, you pick out the bartenders that you'd like to see use your product, and send them a bottle and a Visa gift card for
Hmm. Hmm.
$200, and you say, can you create a cocktail with this, videotape it, and then you use it on your social media, we'll use it on our social.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea.
Bartenders are struggling right now, and
Hmm.
so what you would usually be spending in your marketing budget for OP, you can spend less with a bigger impact with
Hmm.
specific bartenders. And then again, like, make sure that the video, you can use it on Facebook, Instagram. I would do a YouTube channel. Uh, and I think that's the sort of angle I would be taking, is like, right now with the way the market is to leverage your regular consumer and leverage your liquor store and your retail listings, with recipe cards, with ideas, with all this sort of stuff, um, and bang it out. So I quickly looked at your website, like, just simple ones would be like a QR code tag for the necks,
Hmm.
and take you through to a page on your website with cocktail recipes.
Okay.
And so people
I like
scan
that.
your go to the liquor store and it sends you through to a myriad of recipes.
See, especially, I think that's a great idea, especially with people getting used to the QR codes for menus. They're a lot more likely to use them now. I think that's an excellent idea, because right now we have the hang tags with like one
Yep.
recipe, but people are getting more familiar with the QR code with these menus, and so I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Everything's jumped ahead 2 to 5 years when it comes to technology. No one knew what Zoom. No one
Hmm.
knew what Zoom was. It
Yeah.
was in February.
No, I wouldn't have thought to do a live like this at all either.
Like, Zoom was completely unknown in February, and then always like, now I got Zoom
Yeah, yeah.
Zoom
That's like,
wipeout.
Zoom was like a cheap way to learn another language with a coach online or something. Like
Well,
that was the only purpose for it.
before video conferencing, sort of like, oh well, I got face to face. Now
Hmm.
I don't think we're going to go back to face anytime soon, and people are going to be like, oh, let's just Zoom chat.
It's the
Like,
same thing,
I
I
feel
feel
bad
like we've met now, so.
for brand ambassadors who used to travel around the world, and now all of a sudden you used to go, oh sweet, I get to go to Berlin and speak at the BCB, and now it's going to be like, no, we're just going to do a call and record you and then
Yeah.
put it up.
There'll be like thousands of people online though.
Exactly.
My last question before I leave it off to Brittany, particular to BC, tips, suggestions on entrance into the market.
Canada's a tough.
What to look out for, I guess, is the best way to.
Canada is a tough market,
Hmm.
because the majority of provinces in Canada are government-run monopolies.
Hmm.
So your best bet is to break into Ontario first, especially if you've only been over the water,
Hmm.
into the LCBO. LCBO is the largest buyer of alcohol in the world. The thing is that the LCBO in Ontario have the LCBO shops. So if they buy you, you get listed.
Hmm.
But take BC for instance. If you come into BC, while we have a government liquor store, we also have private liquor stores, which means that it's all controlled by the government still, but you would be what we class a spec product,
Hmm.
so a 6 or 12 bottle case. And as a bar, you have to buy the whole case. Like,
Gotcha.
you can't go to the liquor store and pick up a couple of bottles unless it gets listed in the liquor store. So it is a tough market to break into. I would explore Ontario first. because that will get you into the market and like a nut in the game. I'm
kind of using some control states now to kind of gather a little bit of experience in that. So like we're up in New England right now. I want to get some experience with the government control markets a little bit more there, and kind of I'm sure it's similar, but not exactly.
They're definitely similar to, so that makes sense.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, but LCBO Toronto would be the first market to break into properly. BC, Alberta is a tough one on the west coast here, just because it's still a run, and then there's rules about government runs. So at least in Ontario, you know that if they buy you, whereas if you come here, your product could sit in a warehouse for months and not move. So that creates a whole bunch of problems.
Are they set on trial periods? Like, you know, they track the sales for a series of 3-6 months and check them?
It's interesting because the government liquor stores are a separate entity from the government warehouses, even though it's a branch. These guys don't know what these guys are doing. These guys don't know what these guys are doing.
Gotcha.
And so, you just have to. LCBO Toronto would be the best bet because you know it could be in. Then on a personal note, I was looking at your profile as well, and I know that you were talking about personal brand, entrepreneur, and how active. What you may think is boring as a entrepreneur, it resonate with someone. So for your personal Instagram and Facebook and stuff, just document your process.
Okay.
Like, I'm a big fan of Gary Vee, so his thing is like document over create. Like doing a set up photo and stuff like that is great sometimes, but people want to see like the grind, whether it be you try.
Yeah. No, I've been trying to get better about that and posting a little bit more and putting more out there because like you said, there are people that would be interested.
So quality is subjective. What I think is cool, you may think is crap. You really is crap. Someone go, oh no, I feel it's 2 a.m. in the morning and I'm feeling oranges for the next weekend, sort of thing. You know, like it resonates, and I think there's a lot of fake entrepreneurs out there, and they don't understand, and it creates this faux narrative for a lot of youngsters, thinking that entrepreneurship is cool and you make money, and they don't look at the months and months of hard work where your bank account's negative, like just
the rough times, the sleeping on the couch,
just to top you up for the next month or two. So yeah, just document your process and your experience and your journey, because there will be people out there that'll be like, oh, he's just like me.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Awesome. So, I'll do that. All right.
So
hey, I'm gonna pass it over to Brittany, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You.
All right, Brittany, here you go.
Oh, you don't have to move.
That's okay.
Hello.
You're in the hot seat now.
Yes, I'm in the hot seat now. And geez, Jim, your butt's warm. Okay. So I guess the one main question that I kind of had was, as far as other craft distilleries that you've observed, would you say that there's like, say for like a Google Ads awareness campaign, is there something that you think is kind of a best practice with that? As far as kind of what you were talking about with the consumer education, is that something that you would recommend with that as well? Would you go with something a little bit more visual for that? Best bang for the buck, basically.
I still think that Facebook and Instagram are super underutilized and are still very cheap. I always go like pyramid up. So the bottom layer is your website functional? Is it discoverable? If someone types in Chicago craft spirits, is yours page? So
right.
I get and it's surprising, like we have a lot of clients who think that their website is just fine, and then my team goes and crawls it and they're like, oh yeah, there's some major issues here. And we've crawled some national multi-million companies, and they're like, yeah, your website's not good. So
right.
Website performing perfect. I think then I go into content creation. and the social media side of things, I think 4 to 5 posts a week on social media is where you sort of want to be. You guys do a good job. Like your Facebook's showing the articles, channels that are sort of resonating. Instagram is good, but I think you should show a lot more of the story, the process, and then the top tier is boosting posts, that sort of thing. So I think there's 3 levels you sort of make sure you're on point with, because what happens is a lot of people, they like a lot of distilleries and brands, they post once or twice a week, and then they pay for advertising. They're like, well, that didn't work. I'm like, yeah, but you haven't base, you haven't got a solid market to be based. PPC really starts going, and again, if I don't know how many craft distilleries in Chicago, but how many craft distilleries are in Chicago?
Here's 8.
Is that right?
8?
I think that's 8.
Yeah.
You've got two sides of the coin. One side is that you're only 1 in 8 that really get that market of like Chicago craft spirits in the way of keywords and stuff like that. On the flip side, anyone searching Chicago craft spirits. So that's where you building out your recipe cards and doing like cocktail recipes on your website like that. I didn't notice a lot of cocktail stuff on your website or on your social media, like actual recipes from people, stuff. I think that needs to be folded in a lot more. Because right now, this is just me looking in, I got no horse in the race, but it's just my opinion. You look like more of a lifestyle brand, but a lifestyle brand that has no, like, how do you get to that lifestyle? You know, there's no. You've got the pretty girls and the bags and the boats and the nice photo shoots, but there's nothing of like that someone can sink their teeth into and go, oh, I can buy all of this and make a cocktail because this bartender from this bar said so. You know. Video and visual people are like that, because the thing you look at it is like you flicking, and that's you flick. Algorithms are weird. Like social media isn't linear; it bounces around. Like I'm talking to you about like posting stuff. Like that's why a lot of like 4 to 5 posts a week where you theme it, and people go, "Oh, that's a lot of posting." But if you theme each one of your days and put it into buckets, and say 12 content just on cocktails for Monday cocktails or Sunday cocktails, and you look at that, all of a sudden that's 3 months. So you build out your buckets. When you say 5 days a week, you're like, oh, that does sound like a lot of posting. But then when you put each individual bucket for each individual day, then you start building out, and 12 cocktail recipes not hard to do. You know, 12 cocktail recipes, that's 3 months worth of content, and all of a sudden your quarter is done and you're set up ready to rock and roll. So before you start spending ad money, what I'm going to do is get off the call, send through your website and stuff through to my team, and I'll get do a little report for you about where things are missing and stuff to make sure you're super discoverable. But yeah, then you can start going to, because you've already got a base, and so you're do things like PPC and boosting posts and social media advertising, is that you're reinforcing your current base and capturing new base. So we're like how many people capture 20% of the new market, stuff like that. So cocktails get people hooked in, how to drink it, where to get it from, like just simple things like the logo of the liquor store that's picked up your brand, or where it can be found, which state. I noticed you did one for the 4 states you just picked up, which was really cool. But yeah, it's just about hooking, like how you hooking your clientele and how you're hooking your new consumers. And then once you get that, then you do it. And you can do simple video, like do a nice little sizzle reel of the gin keeler before you make a cocktail with it, you know? So make it 2.5 minute IGTV video, and away you go. Same thing with on your social media profile for Instagram, the link, research something called Shorby. Shorby gives you, like, if you go to my profiles, really good dynamic feeds and stuff. So if you set up a YouTube channel, you can bring it over to the link in bio, and you can it comes up and it'll show the video first up, and you just hit play on your phone. So it's taking down the barriers, get the information you want. So yeah, like I think PPC and stuff can work well, but there's steps that need to be taken before you jump into that. And I think you're at a point now where there's enough distilleries in Chicago to make it work, but there's steps that need to be taken before you jump into that. And I think you're at a point now where there's enough distilleries in Chicago to make it work, but there's steps that need to be taken before you jump into that. And I think you're at a point now where there's enough distilleries in Chicago to but also who's searching and what are they searching. Like, you want to get to the stage where if someone says Chicago craft spirits, it's skeptic. Like, that's where you want the mindset. The two dots that you just need to put together is when someone says who's Chicago craft spirits, it's skeptic. And you can do that without necessarily paying for that. You can do that just by having your website set up good, putting out content regularly so that Google recognizes it and picks it up, and goes from there.
Awesome.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yes.
What I'm gonna do is, Jimmy, I'm gonna get you to drop me an email, and I'm gonna get the team to take a quick audit of everything, and send it through to you so you can sort of see where you stand. And because I do think you're lucky enough, like, we have 80 distilleries in the province of BC, but we're also, Canada is very big and not a lot of people. So we don't have a lot of densely populated stuff. So even with 80 distilleries in BC, we still don't have that craft spirit searchability on Google. Still very soft. It's something that can be said for you guys to jump on it now and realize that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Awesome. I appreciate that. No, I'll drop you an email here shortly.
Cool.
Alrighty. Awesome. Thank you.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thanks as well.
Appreciate it. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
I don't know how it goes. Let's do that.
Thanks for listening, Pose Shifters. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I really enjoy sitting down with friends and peers and just chatting about the industry and getting down to the nuts and bolts of what's really going on out there. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, everything on all the platforms. Just hit it up and I'll do my best to answer any queries or questions you have. I'll see you next week, guys. Bye.